kicked off here at Selector 4, so I want to thank everybody for coming. Again, this is a workshop with the City Commission. It is a public meeting, open to the public, but the intent is to workshop with the Commission, go over some of the data that's out there, and get some feedback to direct staff on what steps to take, that type of thing. But it's a workshop setting, so again, what we're going to do is kind of go over some of the things that have been discussed, that have we've been working on, and just highlighting the water system in general. I do want to introduce Tom Flaminio, as with EGLE, the state, in previous DEQ, now EGLE.
Yep.
So thank you for coming, Tom. I appreciate that.
I missed his last name, Scott.
Flaminio.
Flaminio, F-L-A-M-I-N-I-O. What is the new department? What is the name of it? Energy, Great Lakes and Environment, EGLE.
Previously the DEQ, we're all used to DEQ, but that's no longer their official title or name. So we appreciate Tom coming and answer any questions you may have. What I wanted to do, we do have some handouts here. Everybody has one. We can kind of pass these. This is just what we're talking from, some talking points. Sharon, if you don't mind sharing those. Probably not enough for everybody, but try to share them amongst yourself. And you one of these? And we'll go from there. Again, what we're looking at is the water quality, water clarity topic. And again, we want to separate that because there is a water quality aspect, is the water safe, and there's a water clarity aspect, the discoloration. And they're, they're two different talking points, so we'll go through each of those. I did want to just touch base on our water system, just a little history on it. The City of Ironwood water system was actually put in the early 1900s. There is about 65 miles of water main out there amongst the system. And previously it was put in, I think we had resident numbers on the 16,000 range when Ironwood was, its heyday of mining. And Jim would probably know more, and probably maybe a little bit more than that, but in that ballpark.
Close to 20.
Close to 20,000. So the water system served that number of residents back in the day. And now we're serving about 5,200 roughly as a population. So again, 65 miles of water main. We have 6 wells. So they're municipal wells.
Now, can I ask a quick question? You have 5,200 customers. How many accounts of this?
There's about 3,000 water accounts.
A little bit less, yeah.
Roughly about 3,000 water accounts.
Can we get better than roughly?
We can get you the actual numbers after the meeting. We don't have
Should
them.
that be brought to a water quality meeting?
Okay, well, again, this is for the City Commission. We can get you information. We don't have every statistic at our
This is for the citizens of
All right,
Ironwood.
we will go through this. So again, right now we have approximately 5,200 residents on the system, and about 65 miles in main. We have 2 tanks. We have the Mount Zion Reservoir, which is about 2.3 million gallons, and then we have the Mount Zion, the Jezebel tank, which is about 150,000 gallons. Those are our 2 storage tanks that the water goes into that and feeds the system coming from our well field. Again, we have 6 wells that are located about 3 miles north of town. They're in a aquifer, so they're drilled wells, and that's what provides water into the community. And again, those are in aquifer that the geology dictates, what elements are in that water, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So with that, I want to talk about water quality. The testing that's done, what steps are taken for that, and what things we're looking at doing going forward. So right now, the City of Ironwood has what's called limited treatment. You have full water treatment, which are big filtration vessels that the water goes through and it strips out essentially iron and manganese, is usually what you filter out. And we do have iron and manganese in our water. Now what we have is a limited treatment, so we use chlorine and we use a polyphosphate type material. So the chlorine is disinfectant, and the polyphosphate helps, it's called sequestering, or helps keep the iron and manganese in suspension. And again, those are natural occurring elements that are in the geology of the groundwater in that area.
Could you tell us the level of the manganese?
And we'll just keep on going. This is not a public forum. We'll answer your questions later, Jim, after the meeting. Be happy to do that.
Okay.
So, again, the iron and manganese are naturally occurring in the water, and that's what causes some of the discoloration that we can see. So, testing in the water, the city actually doesn't do the testing. The city takes the samples. It's all based on a protocol that's established through the previously DEQ or the EGLE folks at the state state level, and also the EPA, so they follow EPA rules, the state sets their guidelines, and then we follow those guidelines and rules. So what our staff does is actually takes the samples and then submits those to an independent laboratory that tests those samples, that then the test results get sent back to the state folks at EGLE and at the health department, and also back to the city environment. And that's a check and balance process.
Can you give us an idea of some of the water testing sites?
There's established sites in town, Bob, you want to touch on the sites themselves. They're predetermined, set locations, and we go back to those sites all the time, so we have consistency, so we're not just jumping around town where those sites are.
I don't have all the sites at which Tim was here. We have the Effluent, we have the early meter building, which is on the west side of town. We have the booster station, which is on the east part of town. We have the memorial building. And I think I'm missing two. I thought we had 6, but
So there are established sites that are predetermined through with the assistance of,
public safety is another one.
to make sure that's representative of the area, so it's not just in one location, they're separated out.
And I want to add too that they also sample the wells, so you're sampling the source water and then the water distribution system. So there are different protocols that are followed.
Okay. Thank you. And there is different testing requirements, so how often do we test it? Again, there's tests, I call them the weekly tests that are taken, then there's other tests that are taken annually, in different protocol. That's all set by a testing schedule that's established by the state. So that's what's followed. We use that testing protocol, and then those test results will be redundant. We take a sample, send that to an independent laboratory that then analyzes it, and then sends the results to the state agencies in the city.
Who actually watches the human being put the water in the container that goes to the state? Can it be adulterated?
Again, to talk about the testing process, again, we have people that are trained on how to actually take the test. It's not just, myself or someone taking a test, are actually trained on how to take it so that it doesn't get contaminated. If it, you want to keep that from happening, if it did, if there was a result that came back contaminated, then there's a protocol to go back and retest. So again, we haven't seen that, again, testing, there's no advantage to have a test come back negative. But again, it's all done through that process, and people that actually take the samples are trained to do that. So we follow all the protocols, set by the state and the EPA.
So not only are they trained, but certain levels require licensure as well, don't they? That they reach certain levels of licensure.
Correct. In the city water department, as in any municipal water system, there's different levels of training and licensing required by the state of Michigan. So we have staff that goes through the training, they go for refreshers, and they have different levels of training and licensing. And we have a few people that are at the highest level and a few people that are working through the system to get their licensing. But we do have all the required licensed individuals here, and we do a very rigorous education and testing process.
Can we get a list of those people and their qualifications?
We can do that, but it'll be after the meeting.
And I want to add, we requested that Ironwood, they're due for their lead copper sampling distribution system next summer. We requested they bump it to this summer, and they agreed to do that. So the monitoring period is June 30th through September 30th, and with the new lead sampling, it takes a while. They got to identify 20 sites. Those samples are collected by the residents, and we want those geared towards sites with known lead service lines. So we want to basically find the worst sites potentially, and those are the ones they will be sampled. So they did move that to this summer, and I believe Bob and Tim are starting to formulate the locations for those samples.
Right.
But they did bump that up a month. And then we also asked for some iron and manganese sampling, which will be happening this summer too, I believe.
So that's additional, and those are some of the things that we're doing in addition to, a few other things, but that would have been done last year. We actually moved that up, with the encouragement of the state folks to do that this year. So again,
One question. When you said that, so we've moved it up from next year to this year.
Yeah.
And it'll be between June 30th and September 30th. And when was it done previously?
It's every 3 years.
Every 3
Yeah,
years.
that's like.
So if we were scheduled for 2020, it was done in 2017 then?
Correct. So then it would be 2019, then 2022.
let's talk a little bit more about testing. How many times a year, or how many samples do we send in? And who do we send them to?
We're talking every test.
Every test.
The whole protocol of testing requirements,
Right.
and some are done, let's say, weekly, some are done annually.
I mean, yeah, we have 12 back heat tests, amount times 12 months, 144 plus 6 wells, so we're looking at another 70. We're looking at 200, then you got your trihalomethanes and illicit acids. I think copper's gonna be another 20, 250 to 300 tests a year. That's just, you know, I don't know, they do heavy metals, they do, depending what falls in the schedule.
And
Pesticides, everything.
Are any of the tests geared towards manganese?
that is not a required, it has been sampled in the past, but that's why we want to resample this summer, get some current data from the wells, the treatment system. Get a handle.
So again, the redundant manganese is not a required element to test for. We do it, we actually have an independent outside agency, it's called Hawkins Group. They provide chlorine and, poly that we use, and they test our system, I think, once a year. Basically to help with determining what rates to put the chlorine and poly in the system. So again, they do that test, but it's not a required test.
Yeah, and Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, you routinely sample your wells for coliform, correct?
Yeah.
And it is not, we don't require it, but they do it anyway, so that's, it's a good practice.
Why is it not required?
Because
Just for manganese?
just the distribution, well, manganese, it's not a regulated EPA contaminant. It's an aesthetic, they have a guideline, 0.02 parts per million of manganese is an aesthetic concern. But right now, they have a program, it's called the Unregulated Contaminant Monitoring Rule, UCMR, and they're looking at a list of 29 contaminants that's, I guess, on their radar. Manganese is one of them, so we expect within a few years, your hand might be forced as far as manganese removal. That it's very possible, in fact, very likely that maximum contaminant level will be established, and you will have to address it with the treatment system. Most likely.
Just to clarify, right now, there is not.
There is not a
A maximum.
maximum contaminant level for manganese. There is a advisory level, I guess is what we call it.
Is the manganese issue unique to Ironwood?
It's, right now, there's 6 systems in the UP that do iron manganese removal. They kind of go hand in hand. Bessemer, Houghton, Ishpeming, Nagani, which is one system, Alpha and Iron County, Tilden Township, Marquette County, and Republic, and they're all mining communities, so there's probably a correlation there. But every one of them, it wasn't a EPA regulated contaminant, but they just decided, what, they discolored water and whatever, they decided we're gonna put this system in, so that's how they arrived at that decision.
All right, so anything else on testing? I'll just keep running through it, we'll come back with, more discussion here. So again, the testing is done, and actually, the city of Ironwood provides water regularly. Before they used to get more water from Montreal, but I think they've discontinued that source, they're using more from Ironwood. So they get tested too. So again, they're going through the same testing protocols that we are, only what's required by the state of Michigan. I'm talking about water quality. So again, we're double tested because it's essentially the same water.
Scott, when you talk about water quality, how do you differentiate that between the dangers of the water? Just the looks, the aesthetics, or how do you separate those two? The water quality is usable water.
We'll get to that, because when we couldn't continue with my discussion or the information, we'll get into more discussion there. But again, the water quality, looking at, the testing, the safety elements that we have to test for through the, state of Michigan. So again, it's tested by both Wisconsin and Michigan from that perspective. And again, they're independently reviewed by Michigan and Wisconsin. And then if there are concerns or issues that are brought up, if they were to exist from that standpoint. Now we have water clarity, discoloration of the water. So that's another element of the water system. As indicated, manganese isn't a required thing to test for. We've had iron been manganese in our waters, from my understanding, ever since, we've had a lot of wells that we've been using for pumping. And that's in the aquifer and the geology of where the water is being pumped from. So this isn't the first time this has been talked about. It's been talked about for many over the years, I guess. But it's there, it's something that we all can see, and we're aware of that. And so it's naturally occurring element in the water source from the geology that it's pumped from. The iron and manganese, if you pump it in the well, you don't see it. It's clear glass of water. You look at it, but it's suspended in the water itself. So that gets pumped out. Again, we don't have full treatment. So when it's pumped out of the wells, it's treated with chlorine and then it's polyphosphate material. So the chlorine is a disinfectant and the poly is essentially in there to help. It's called sequestering, keep the iron and manganese in suspension so that it stays there, it doesn't fall out into your pipes. Now again, that's what we're seeing is iron manganese is settling out, into the pipes. It probably has, for decades, and that's why we are flushing. And that's one of the things that we'll talk about here. So it's iron manganese that we're seeing, as a clarity issue. And again, that's one of the reasons for flushing is to get that out of the pipes as it does settle out. And just speculation, but again, with two things. One is, fewer number of customers on the system, the water can tend to stand in the pipes a little longer than it had previously. You had, 15, 20,000 people using water. You're using water quicker. Now we have roughly 5,200. So it can stay in the pipes a little longer, which allows those particulates to settle out. And over years, they build up in the pipes. And that's what you see, that discoloration. And that is why we have a flushing program. We're going to be adding to that a little bit.
I have a question, please.
Let me just continue through.
Isn't this supposed to be so people can discuss what the problem is?
Excuse me, we are here in the workshop, and we're here for the city commission to learn a lot of the information about the water system and then provide direction going forward. So again, a lot of these commissioners involved with them.
Commissioners for years, they don't understand our water system, that's not our problem.
There could be another
There are
process.
serious problems with this water, and people are here to talk about it.
Again, we can have a separate public hearing, and we're happy to do that. Right now, this is a workshop with the commission. We can have multiple public hearings, whatever is needed to move forward. Right now, this is a workshop for informational purposes.
Okay, what is the magnesium count? If that's evident in the water?
It's manganese is what it is.
Manganese, yeah, what is
And
it?
that is tested, and we do have results for that, and we do have
What's
that to
the
share with you. We can share that with you.
Why don't we share it?
Please share.
You should have it now, right?
Yeah, we're gonna check for you, okay? This is a workshop, we have a lot of information we can get out, as people want that information.
Try to get as little out as you possibly can.
So we'll just continue here. So again, water clarity, that's what we're seeing through the, that's what we're seeing, that's what we're, hearing a lot of feedback from the residents, on that. And then the question is, what is currently being done and what can be done going forward? So again, part of limited treatment is the sequestering. So that's putting the poly in the water to keep it suspended. So again, one thing that can be done is to adjust that rate a little bit. And that's done through this company Hawkins, we work with them. They test their water for manganese and they say, you should use this amount or that amount to help better sequester it. So we've been doing that, we've been talking to the folks in the state and looking at, should that rate be raised a little bit to help with sequestering? The answer is yes. So we're working toward that.
Could you explain a little bit more about this poly and what it's doing? Is it binding with the manganese and the iron and putting
More of the
Yeah, basically the polyphosphate is called sequestering. It basically envelopes the iron and manganese so it passes through with the water without, any adverse effects on the piping or deposits.
is it safe for human consumption?
Yes, it is. There's a polyphosphate, then the orthophosphate provides a coating on the pipe interior to reduce corrosion, so there's no lead or copper issues with, corrosion of the water.
Is there any adverse effect from the different polys? To cause cloudiness?
It could potentially, if the dosage goes really high, then you're gonna get, coagulation. The dosage has to be really high to see that. You'll see basically
know, the dosages, and we're doing that right now, and that can help a little bit to help improve on that sequestering process. Routine flushing the water mains. And again, you try to flush spring and fall. It's fairly standard. So again, there's a whole process. You don't just open hydrants. There's a whole sequence of how you do that to best get the water moving so you can get the sediments off the bottom. So again, working through that, we're looking at spring and fall flushing, possibly throwing in midsummer flushing if we need to, and we'll go over that with the DEQ folks and help make sure the flushing technique is going to be effective. And again, you want to get the sediments off the bottom of the pipe and then out of the system. The storage reservoirs, that's another.
Okay, so just to ask about.
Yeah,
The storage reservoirs hold a large amount of water.
correct.
Do we see collection of manganese and iron in those? Do we see it sedimenting out? And if we do, how do we deal with it?
Sure. And again, it will in those big storage tanks. So that will settle out. So what we do is we have a company that comes in, they actually have divers that come in. They come in with big vacuum, basically, and vacuum that stuff out the bottom of the tank. So we do have them coming in this year, and it's about once every 5 to 7 years. We look at moving that up, being on a better schedule. But that's been a history in the past.
Is there any feedback, any protocol that we have for what did we find in our reservoir? What does the buildup look like? What does it look like now? A little bit.
They'll do a report.
They'll do a report.
Yeah.
So we have these reports.
They should have, yeah, they have known for 5 years, or whatever it's been.
Okay.
Those will be shared with the public.
Yes, it can be. So they are coming in later this summer. We haven't actually scheduled earlier this spring to come in. They're on their schedule to come in. And then we look at it, instead of every 5 years, every 3 years, every 2 years, at least, try to continue to help with improving the system.
They're from Old West, and you're trying to schedule it with one of the communities in Wisconsin. They want to get both of them, us and them at the same time.
Actually dive in the Chesterfield thing too.
Yeah.
There's a whole protocol they have to use to be able to do that. So then what is currently being done? What are we looking at, going forward? What are things that we can do with the limited treatment again? We don't have filtration, which is ultimately the process that would remove the iron and manganese before it got to town. So that's, basically a number of communities that are doing that have, lead, or I should say, iron and manganese in their system. So that's something further to talk about. So what we're doing is spring and fall flushing. We're looking at a midsummer flushing that we haven't done before. That third flushing would help get it cleaned up sooner. We're flushing block-specific locations. So if we get a number of calls from a particular block, that's why we ask people to call us, call the water department if you're having any kind of water concerns, water quality issues, water clarity issues. We'll send a crew out there to look and try to diagnose what's going on. And we sometimes find that this one block, meaning they might have a number of calls on that one block if we do get them. And then we'll have our water department go and flush that block. It might be a water main that has very low flow on it that tends to settle out more than the rest of the water mains. So they're doing that also. We do encourage residents to call so we can follow up, try to figure out what's going on, also to document if there's a certain area of town we're seeing concerns in. We do again encourage people to call the water department. It's the city number 932-5050. We do want to meet with the residents that have this colored water so we can review it with them. And sometimes it might be the system, sometimes it might be the private side of the system. It might be their house where maybe their hot water tank hasn't been flushed in a while and they're seeing discoloration from the water sitting in their hot water tank, things like that. We'll send a couple of water department folks out there to review that with you.
Outside of the flushing time, which is pretty much system-wide, we've all experienced that. When you're getting complaints, are we kind of putting a dot on a map and saying this is where we're getting a complaint? Do we kind of try to analyze a little bit what neighborhoods might be experiencing this?
Right. What we're doing right now is as the complaints come in, we're documenting them, we're going out to meet the residents, determine, is it due to a project we have going on the north, west side of town? Sometimes that's what's causing it, and we can pinpoint that. Is there something else, a water break in the area, or some other cause for it? But yeah, we are documenting that, and that's why we encourage people to call so that we can do that, and also help us focus through the area. Now, again, we're also asking people, are you seeing a lot of water problems? What are you seeing out there in the system? Because we're all in the system and we're all, using the water and everything, so are you seeing it routinely? Are you seeing this, just during flushing? So again, we're getting different feedback. The vast majority of individuals we've contacted, as they're coming through the water window, we're just asking them, what are you seeing out there? Essentially, it's, during flushing, they say, we expect, the water to be discolored. Occasionally, we'll get someone that says, yeah, I got a discolored water and it's not due to flushing. So then we'll send someone out to look at that and try to figure out what's going on. So.
And did you bring all of that information with you then to this workshop with the city commission?
We'll just continue on going through that. We are now.
That's a no.
We don't have everybody's name here, nor that may or may not be public information. Some people do.
God, it sounds like a little dry there. I can give you some water, city water, if you want to clear that throat.
I've got some.
Here you go.
Here, I got some in here.
Here's some samples right there.
That's exactly what
All
I
right.
said.
So we'll keep on going. We'll have public information, public,
After it all.
other public meetings that we can have to follow some of
There's a
these.
city commission meeting shortly.
So again, the vast majority of people have indicated that during flushing they see the discolored water, and that's the times they're seeing it. That doesn't mean that there aren't other spot-specific things that do pop up, but it's not routine. So we do want to follow up on those. Again, we mentioned, again, we're not talking lead and copper, but we are going to move up the lead and copper sampling timeframe to this year and next year, just to check that, since we're talking water. We're also going to do some additional, even though it's not required, additional manganese testing at the wellheads. So again, not required testing, we're going to do that just to start, just to monitor that closer. Right now, it's done once a year through Hawkins, who does that for us. But again, we'll take a test and then send that to the independent lab to take a look at it. And then I think at the last meeting it came up, can we have an outside independent review of the system, how the system is managed, how we do our testing, that type of thing. And the answer is yes, we did look into that. It's not something that they always do, but it's Michigan Rural Water Association, is my understanding, and they're statewide. And they indicated they do have a protocol for doing that. How many guidance on that? Or
Yeah, John Holland's the UP representative, he's based in Lansing, and my understanding he will be coming to evaluate your system in a few weeks, is that correct?
My understanding is.
Yeah.
yes, so we're coordinating that with them coming here. And so again, another snapshot of
It's called Michigan Rural Water.
Michigan Rural Water Association. Yeah. So that'd be good. Another way that check the process, check the protocols that are in place, and then provide feedback. So again, a number of things we're doing, a number of things we can adjust to do a little better. Try to improve upon that. Again, it's a limited water treatment process. We don't have filtration right now. I don't want to be redundant on that. We're not stripping out the iron and manganese before it gets into the system. And that's the other part is water treatment. Actually, a full-blown water treatment facility that some of the communities have moved forward with over the years. Again, it's a cost issue, but also a water quality. It's how you get water quality, your water clarity improved by stripping out the iron and manganese before it, gets to town. So that's something. Again, we had a few years back there was a preliminary engineering study. Again, it was related to our pump station. So we have our city pump station. We have 6 wells that come to a pump station. The pump station feeds the water in town. So the pump station is at a point we've been talking about, replacing that long term. It's operational. It's old, but needs to be finally replaced. And then we talked about when we replace that would be a time to at least consider water treatment, at that time. So again, rough numbers for pump station and treatment, we have to have another, a current engineering evaluation of that. This is a number of years ago. It was, pump station was about $5 to $6 million. Water treatment was somewhere to add to that, was somewhere in the $3 million range. So again, it gives you that feeling for, where that is financially. So you're looking at somewhere between could be a $8 million project, somewhere in that ballpark. Again, you want to have a full engineering analysis that can provide different options, different filtration options, different ways to filter manganese in and out of water. So that's where we're at with the system. I'll pass this around. This is the monitoring schedule that's provided by EPA and the state. And then we also do an annual water, drinking water quality report, so that's also required to go. That basically takes information from a year, puts it into one report.
That's all, that's right there.
That is then provided to the public and the state agencies to see all the data. We also have here additional information. Again, some of it can be system-wide, some can be individual to a home, the water clarity issues. So we do have, and this is provided by the state drinking water folks, it's a flushing protocol for your house. So again, it's not only the system itself, but it's also your own private home that you want to take care of your own, home also with your own flushing. It should be done annually, where you go through and flush your hot water tank, that type of thing. But we have a whole protocol on that, so we'll get that out to the public also, so we can see what that takes. It's, I've got extra copies here, so we'll just hand them around. So just bring it back together, we talked a little bit about the system itself, the history of it, what the system is made up of, our water quality or the testing that's required by the EPA in the state of Michigan, and all the reporting that is done on a weekly, monthly, annual basis. The redundancy of that part of it is also done by hurricane, which just gives you another look at the water. And it's tested over there also. And then the water, the water aesthetic part of it, which is an important part of your water system also. And that we talk about all the things that we can do with limited treatment, things we can try to adjust a little bit to improve upon that. But you're still going to have iron and manganese in the water. You can try to minimize the impacts of that. The only way to address that fully or as fully as you can is through the larger filtration process.
The larger filtration process, you would still need to chlorinate the water.
Correct.
And would it eliminate the introduction of the phosphates, poly or orthos, or would just reduce it?
You still might need ortho depending on the corrosion issue, but I don't think that's really an issue in Ironwood from what I've seen.
No, it's my understanding never was.
Yeah. So you'd still definitely need chlorine and then you have to down with phosphate part. But
And then before 30 years ago, what did the city water do? Did the manganese and iron just settle into the pipes?
Well, it's doing what it's doing now. I mean, the system is basically very similar to what it was many years ago. You have 65 miles of main, you have the water coming into town, and I don't know what they did 30 years ago, but they probably coordinated whether they use the poly process, I'm not sure. But
and Ironwood's wells, they're relatively deep in the aquifer. Unfortunately, the shallow aquifer is pretty devoid of iron manganese. Unfortunately, it's high in bacteria and other biological matter that it's basically, it's like pond water. So if you have a whole different issue if you had wells in that. That's why the wells were extended deeper, because the creeks influence the shallow groundwater, so you couldn't put wells in there without doing a full blown treatment system, which would make this iron manganese pale in comparison. So you're kind of, your wells are where they have to be, but you have this iron manganese issue. And at every community I mentioned before, those 6, none of them have dark water issues, because it's manganese removal. At the end of the day, that's what you're dealing with.
And they've gone to the full treatment option, I would assume, with those systems.
Yeah, they oxidize out the iron manganese and then run it through filter. You backwash the filter, you flush out the precipitated iron manganese.
Is there beyond the initial $3 million or whatever, the B cost of a filtration plant, is there an added maintenance cost? Did you have to replace filters?
Yeah.
Is it a big number, a small number?
I mean, I think depending on how high your iron manganese is, we have one system that they haven't changed in decades. We're finally forcing our hand. They're doing it this year, but 10 years, 7 years, depending on how high your iron manganese is, definitely there's a cost to regenerate and refill your canisters. Some get away with just cascading the water and letting the air precipitate out the iron manganese, so there's a little easier process, but that's only for very low manganese levels, and I can't imagine that being viable here with the color of the water that I'm seeing.
How long have you been the state's representative and had Ironwood as one of your customers?
A little less than 2 years.
Okay,
But I was under Doug Pasco, who was 30 years, and Doug knows Ironwood quite well, so, I talked about this with him before I came.
thank you. And in your discussions with him, and his 30 years, how did he view our system? What did he, I mean, if you can share with me.
I mean, you guys, you got solid people working here. Timber Tilly's a great operator. He's diligent. He takes pride in his work. I went through the permits since 2010. Ironwood has put in a shade under 80,000 feet of water main. That's 15 miles of main. I mean, it's not like you've been sitting on your hands. Work is getting done, but it's just your source water is high in manganese, and I don't know what happened in the last decades. Doug said there was a time frame, 60s up to the 80s, even early 90s, said Ironwood didn't really do much. They just kind of, sat back and, were happy with the way things were going. But now they're addressing the water main. They're taking out the old main, putting in new, but for whatever reason, the manganese just got kicked down the road, and now, now you're dealing with it. So, but your system, the operator's good. It's fun. They submit the reports as required. Everything is, all their ducks are in a row.
Right, and the 250 to 300 tests a year, they ensure that the water is safe.
Correct.
Thank you.
So to fix this problem, this iron and manganese would probably have to be a filter system.
Yes.
Like I brought up 3 workshops.
And like I said, the EPA might force your hand in a few years if they come up with a maximum contaminant level for manganese. And
Then if
you
you get
want to have a
that,
choice.
if you were to get that filtered out, pinch the pipes and town, clean up a little bit, you would have less
Yes.
problems.
Yes. But, if you put an iron manganese removal right away, you're still gonna, so you have this water. Water is greedy, it's aggressive. If you bought distilled water at Walmart in a jug, and you put some pennies and nails in there, it's gonna start pulling copper and iron from that. It has to have things in it. It can't stand being neutral water. So when you take out the iron manganese in your water, once you put it in your pipes, it's gonna wanna start to pull things. So if there's stray iron manganese still in there, it's gonna suck it right in. So you're gonna see you probably have to do a lot of flushing at first. You're gonna see a little bit more, but in the long run, it's the way to do it.
And we have been talking over the last few months, I guess, we've done a lot of water system and sewer system improvements on mains. And we've been talking about, our next phase. We have many phases to go yet. But we also talked about the pump station. And again, we're looking at that. A lot of funding comes through loans. There's some grant involved, but a lot of it is loans through USDA rural development. So we've been talking to those folks to try to see if there's grant eligibility for the water side. We've been grant eligible for the sewer side, but the water side has not been grant eligible. So we've been working through that with them. Right now, there's no guarantee it'll probably be predominantly loan for any water-related work. We'll continue to have that discussion with them, trying to help, with some costs, we get grants that can help keep our water rates, from going up as much as they would if we don't get grants. So.
And the state of Michigan has a revolving loan fund for water systems. And I know previously it was a 20-year term, but I believe they bumped it up to 30, and in some instances they'll match the USDA's 40-year term.
And that's for loan only, though, I think, right? Is that, or?
No, that's revolving loan. That's
Right.
not based on income. That state of Michigan, it's not based on income or anything. It's,
Right, but it's not a grant system.
No,
it's
it's
a loan
100%,
based system.
yeah. But there is loan forgiveness if certain conditions are met.
Up to 100,000, or is it?
I don't know.
There's some parameters in there. We did look at that a while back.
Yeah.
We want to explore that again.
Yeah.
Look at that closer. But those are our primary funding agencies that help with these large expenditures. Would be USDA rural development or the state revolving fund. So with that, as far as treatment, pump station, our next phase, we'll be talking about that again, we talked about it multiple times, as you mentioned, Joe. And then to come to get our, handle on what is our next phase of expenditure for the water system. Is it gonna be a water sewer project, is it gonna be a pump station, is it gonna be pump station and filtration? We've had all those discussions. I think the pump station, filtration part is obviously rising in interest amongst the community. So that is really the only way. Nobody's putting manganese in the water, that's natural. But there's a way to take it out and it's through that process.
And I would ask my fellow commissioners to consider, to ponder, if we look at doing more work on our water system and possibly the new pump station and the filtration system, and based on the fact that it'd be nice to get some grant money from the USDA rural development, but last I heard it was like up to $7 billion that we wouldn't be eligible for, but perhaps above that, we might.
Yeah, it's kind of in that ballpark. Right?
In that ballpark, but I personally would like to study those numbers a little bit more and work with you to look at those different scenarios, and for us to consider whether or not we want to do major projects that exceed that 7 million so that we can take advantage of more water loans and in conjunction with sewer projects possibly as well. Just to, and I know if the number's still crunched out, it would still be a major loan investment up front, but maybe we would be eligible for more grant dollars if we tackle the larger project. So something else to ponder.
So Scott, we have been trying to work with rural development on getting the way they calculate our eligibility for grants.
Right.
Have we had any success with that?
Not significantly. No, we've met with rural development folks a few different times.
Right.
And they have a certain formula that they use to determine if it's grant eligible. And they apply, across the whole state, so it's not arbitrary. But right now, the way we're set up with our current rates, we're not triggering grant eligibility for the water side. The sewer side we do, but the water side we do not.
Now, part of that is because Hurley skews how our formula works.
It's part of the equation. It's not the whole part of it, but it's part of it. We get some revenue
It's a fact.
from sale of water. That's a factor.
But if Hurley weren't part of our system, we would lose more money than these grants might get. You know where I'm going with that? Not that we're going to cut Hurley off, but I'm just trying to look at all those angles.
Right.
Trying to figure out how maybe we could become grant eligible.
We'll keep on having those discussions. Right now, we're not triggering grant eligibility. We're doing it very thoroughly with them on all different angles on trigger grant funding for the water plant system.
When we talked about how that process works too.
When we talked about water rate increases in the budget workshop, remember you were kind of asked if you want to do a $4 million project, $7 million project, or $20 million project. That last raise would qualify us for how much?
Well, the last adjustment for the water side of it was at 2.8%.
I believe so, yeah.
If I remember right. And again, we're looking at, a 6. If you had to just pay for it all correctly, I think it was like a 6 or so. It was a bigger number than that. But I think the 2% was trying to take an incremental step. It might be a year or two with adjusted rates to get you where you can handle the debt service for a larger project. So 2% gets you,
So that raise, that last raise really wouldn't do nothing then?
Well, it would help. It can get you there. We had actually proposed a couple of different tiers, I think, options. And I think at that point, what I thought was let's go slow, and maybe over a year or two you get there with the rate adjustments. But no, 2% would not get you there. That would get you partway there. That was the idea. Over the years, we slowly adjusted the rate, so it's not like one big rate adjustment that your other communities that are looking at like 25% rate adjustments in multiple years.
One in Marquette doubled them last summer because they never did anything, and they had this issue in moving debt.
Yeah, so you hear that. I think some of our neighboring communities really raised their rates significantly a few years ago. So we're trying not to get to that point. We're going to adjust them a little bit. So it's
So if we had to do a water filtration plan and we decided to go that route, we would still have to raise it more.
we have to look at it. I can't say that for sure. We did raise them some to help. No, that was enough. We have to actually do an engineering study of doing the whole pump station with filtration. You can look at just, putting filtration into your existing system. I don't know that that's a good investment, but it could be looked at, putting in the system as it sits right now. You haven't addressed the pump station issue, that would keep the cost down. But you can look at a couple different ways and then make a decision going forward.
Would it be worth it to invest in an engineering study on this whole thing?
It's going to be a fairly significant engineering analysis. Look at the different water, because there are different water treatment systems. It's probably the standard, type of
Yes,
there are
I
different options.
highly recommend you contact an engineering firm with good experience in this and start kicking the tires, I guess.
I mean, it's gonna cost a significant amount just to get a good study, I would think.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be crazy expensive. I mean, yeah, we get the
100,000, is that
I think that'd be much more than what it would cost.
much more than what it would cost? Okay. We need to know this guy.
Yeah, but we go up to RFPs, we do a request for proposal process from firms, and we get their qualifications, background, and then, cost for them to perform the study.
Well, I know that you could talk about this for quite a while, but it seems like what we need to do is, these people in the room are probably a lot of them convinced that we have a horrible manganese problem, and in my own experience, I don't have that experience, but I have to accept that some people must. And so we have to understand this manganese issue a little bit better. And I think what comes to mind for me is look at other communities and what they get coming out of the ground, and look at what we have coming out of the ground for manganese, and let's assess what our manganese issue really is. I mean,
And I think that's Tom has done a little bit primarily just with the communities that are using full filtration. We can listed there, there were 4 or 5 of them there.
Yeah, there's 6.
6 maybe.
Yeah, Doug Haskell, my predecessor, he said Hope was pretty much in the same predicament here. It was, as well water lives high manganese.
let's just say Ironwood is X parts per million and Houghton is X divided by 3, then we know we're a lot worse than Houghton. If we're like 1/10 of Houghton, we want to kind of see how we match up.
Right, and actually Hawkins would give us an idea too, because they just, they do a lot of water systems out there.
I think the sooner you can collect these iron manganese samples, the better. And
Sure.
Right.
more data is better.
Is that manganese harmful at all?
It's naturally occurring. It's in tea, it's in leafy vegetables, it's in beans, legumes. You get more manganese from food and water, but unfortunately it makes things black in your piping and stuff.
Manganese is a nutrient,
Correct.
and so it's in large quantities.
Yeah, correct. That is correct.
Yeah, no one disputes that there's manganese in our water, and no one disputes that flushing stirs it up. We're trying to understand why it's significantly worse for some people than others here. And we know that during flushing, we all have somewhat discolored water. Ours is pretty minor, moderate, goes away in a couple days, and we move on. But that doesn't seem like it's the case for everybody.
Right.
So we need to try to learn and understand what's going on here before we spend $3 million.
Right, you want a full engineering analysis, cost estimates and all that. You are, first step, with you, the rural water will come in, and check the process. They're not gonna tell us, okay, whether or not there's process issues that we need to deal with. That question will be more of bricks and mortar, what will be the cost of that type of filtration plant with the levels of manganese we have. We are moving forward with taking additional manganese tests over the next few weeks, I would guess, to get those into the lab, have those checked, so we have a good baseline for the manganese levels in the water.
Would the levels of chlorine that are added to the water be lessened then if a water filtration system was decided upon after all, and then?
Not necessarily. Their dosages and residuals are well within the parameters. I know I've talked to people, there's some anecdotes about people think there's the smell of chlorine water or something, it burns. And I know you guys investigated one last year, went to someone's house, and it turned out it was, we see 0.2, 0.3 parts per million residuals and 0.5, and we like to see up to 1.2 residual in the system. And from the numbers we see, Ironwood's chlorine is, it works. They
That's gone up 20% every year since, what year was it, Steve?
Starting in 2017.
2017. PCM level's gone higher and higher, and that's carcinogenic materials. That's when the chlorine works with the organic material, combines with it.
The disinfection byproducts.
Right, it makes it potable, but then it becomes carcinogenic. And there's 4 different chemicals that are created there. One of them is extremely carcinogenic, and they're all tested together. And we're over the level that it's supposed to be according to the EPA.
You know, I know our analysts reviews all the disinfection byproduct results which they perform in. I'm not aware of there being any violations right now.
We're pretty close to the cutoff, we're looking to cut off at 0.08 for the total triethylamine, and we're at like 0.07.
Yeah, and then they allow, you average the numbers too, and I'll have to check to see if they're put on more monitoring or, elevated monitoring, but my understanding is it was not a disinfection byproduct found in Ironwood.
You did tell me on the phone, Mr. Flaminio, that there's no one that actually oversees the individual that puts the water sample in the container. Is it possible that there's some adultery happening?
You know,
I don't want to accuse anyone, but it's concerning.
I understand where you're coming from, but these operators, they are tested and certified by the state of Michigan. They have to get continuing education credits, they have to renew their certification. If that happened, they're putting their license on the line, not to mention they are doing criminal activity. So,
We've seen some stuff in Flint that makes us all scratch our heads.
I understand where you're coming from, but
It's the chlorine. That's why you're scratching your head.
there's no, every water system in Michigan, the operators or the.
We have to trust people to do their job.
Exactly. Lead, copper are collected by the actual residents, but otherwise it's the water system that collect the samples. It's been that way for decades.
Do you understand that there is no trust between a large number of the residents of this community and their city leadership? Okay?
Yeah.
When I had water and sewer work being done in my neighborhood, there was a public meeting specifically for the residents of that location to talk about the upcoming project. I asked, how long will people be on temporary water? Bob Tervinen looked at me and said, until it's done. City commissioners and the city manager were in the room. They said nothing to that flippant response. Okay? Later that summer, my mom received a letter saying that she had 2 weeks to fix her water line from the city shut off into her basement, that it failed the test. The test had been done 5 weeks before that. When I asked Bob Tervinen why my mom just received that letter then, his response was, because I put it in the mail yesterday. That's what we're dealing with. Okay? Nothing was brought in about the number of complaints. Nothing displayed here. There's no maps. Your head of your water department, he brought nothing with him. If this was really a work session with the city commissioners, wouldn't you have handed out this without the grammatical errors in it? Wouldn't this have been a well-written report that would have been submitted to you a week ago so that you could have read it and thought about it and come here with questions? Considering that we formed a group about water issues, having 1 or 2 representatives of the people to sit at that table, would that have been too much to ask? The chief of police is here. He said nothing. He's done nothing. Why? What's he doing at this meeting? Is this just an attempt to intimidate us?
This is for the workshop for the commission. Again, it's not the only meeting we're going to have.
Said that.
So, excuse me, sir. So, the first meeting we're going to have, we have multiple meetings, see where we want to go forward. So, again, the first one is
Except
to get
that at
some
the last city
information out.
commission meeting, the mayor, before I spoke, said to me,
Is this safe for my dog? Is this safe?
What we
Is this
also
okay?
have,
This is out of my house. Is
We will
this
come-
fine? Is this okay? This is out of my house.
Obviously,
I'm
people have
downtown,
something to say,
I'm
why
in-
aren't you letting it
I'm
go?
in
we will have
There's a
some
meeting happening
we
brewing.
will have the opportunity for the public
What
to
is this?
provide input.
What are
Now,
the chunks?
excuse me, sir.
I just want to know what the
This
chunks are.
is a workshop for the city commission.
Okay.
Now,
I just want to know what the chunks in my water
Go
is.
over and look at your house system. We actually came over the other day.
All pets, right?
We're
It's
happy to
all
come in and
from
take a
your
look at
side.
it.
It's all from your side. What
So-
is this?
replace some people kind of system.
I hope that's a quality model here.
All right, for the city commission, any other questions at this point?
Yeah, I just say that, we have worked extremely hard, you know, to make improvements in this town. And I, for one, and I know my fellow commissioners have, we're in contact with our senators, we're in contact with our representatives. We're trying to look for those opportunities to improve systems without borrowing the whole amount. And I think we've been successful at that, and we'll continue to do that. So our representative, our senator, our governor's office, all of them have been made aware that across Upper Michigan, we're faced with a multitude of issues on how we improve these small communities. And with the amount of money that gets spent in this state, you know, I would love to see us become more grant eligible for water improvements. And so I'm working towards that. And I know all of us have, because we go into their offices, we work with their staff, we call them up, and we say that we're representing the people of Ironwood, and we're looking for grant eligible funding for water improvements, sewer improvements. So that's being proactive. That's trying to get things done, but keep the costs low. And you know, with this 2.8% that we went up, you know that when we talked about where the costs are going to go in the city of Ironwood to improve water, we said, let's try to hold those costs down as low as we can, because all of us, you know, if the average bill that we pay a month for water, sewer, and garbage is $129, $139, you know, as that goes up, that hurts our community. So we are going to try to work with everyone in this state, and I'm doing it on a weekly basis, and try to get those people on our side, and on our side in the community of Ontonagon, who has lost so many people, and up in Hancock, and over in Holden, get all of those people on our side so that these water issues can be fixed in a low-cost way. And that's being proactive. You know, I can't just raise my voice and say one thing at a meeting or say another thing at a meeting without working at this. And my fellow commissioners, every one of you, has talked about the fact that we're trying to hold costs down and improve this community. And we really do that. So, you know, the meeting, we've got experts in. I think we're on the right track, and we'll keep moving forward. Keep trying to help people.
We brought experts in, or people did. And also, I noticed you have a bottle of water in front of you, and you don't drink bottled water.
That's right. I dumped it out, and I poured it from my tap.
You told us you never bought a bottle of water. I wonder.
All right,
where's
this is
the
the workshop. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming. Again,
Can you tell me what this is, please? Can you tell me what's in my water?
we
It's
will send someone over to your house and have a look at your system.
I have all brand new packs in my house. It has nothing to do with my house. I have a brand new water supply. I got everything's brand new in there. It has nothing to do with my house.
No,
You
you
know
look at
that.
it.
This is, I'm your neighbor. You
It's right there, you
filter
look
this
at it
in
right
your bar.
And explain
What
to me
is
why it's
this?
so bad.
Can you ask me, just tell me what this is, please?
That's manganese, probably during flushing.
Not during, this is right now, this is a month of water in my house.
We'll be happy to have someone go over and take a look.
No, you won't be happy to come over.
So-
Why is this on the filter? Why is this happening? What is it?
That's what we just talked
Pretty
about.
gross, man, look at that, you
It's
guys.
the manganese, but again, more discussion to come.
Water for
Thank you, for showing up, and we'll have more discussion on this topic actually going forward.
Have we
With that,
really come up with kind of a path of action here through this discussion?
we have actually, to go forward. We
Let's
just
talk about some steps.
to go over that again. Again, what are we looking at doing? Again, with our limited treatment process, right? We don't have full treatment, so we're gonna maybe take a look at that, have an RFP done, you know, bring in an outside expert in the water field to help us with that. That's the big item. What we're doing on a current basis is the flushing, to continue to flush, to get that manganese out.
Shush.
We're going to flush block specific, so if there's an area that we see that's a problem, it might be an area that has a low flow on the main and that iron manganese tends to settle out more. We'll flush that block, and that can help. So we're doing that. And that's why we want people to contact us, so we can look, find out, what the problem is, and if there's other people on the block having that. Again, encouraging residents to talk to the water department, we will send a crew out to go and look at it, and try to figure out what the issue is. We worked with the DEQ and Hawkins, the sequestering agent that we use, to try to adjust that a little more, so that's in the process. We've got a company to come in, and they're coming in to clean Mount Zion. It's on their schedule for later this summer. We're bringing in Michigan Rural Water, the folks there, to come in and look at our operational system and how we operate, and see if there's any recommendations from their analysis. We've moved up the lead and copper testing requirement from last year to this year, just to do it earlier, just to look at it, make sure everything's okay there.
From next year to this year.
Last year, next year to this year, thank you. We're going to take additional manganese samples that haven't been required, but at the wellheads, to look at what is that manganese for each well, so we can get a better handle on that. We do have that annually, but we'll get another snapshot to see where we're at with that. And again, that's a list of probably 6 or 8 items that we're going to move forward with. With the current operations as it stands now, that's not going to take iron manganese out of the system. It's going to hopefully help reduce the problems there.
Could we get an analysis of the unique individuals that are complaining about their water? How many? I don't need their names. We don't need the names. But how many unique households are complaining in the geographical layout of where they are? Can we get that?
Yeah, they're getting both the ones that have concerns and the ones that don't have concerns, so we can kind of see if there's a pattern there.
Should not have been brought to this meeting, that's the whole purpose.
That's in the process of being developed, so we won't have that for you.
Are we just gonna have a flushing this summer yet? We're gonna start that,
We haven't decided yet. We wanted to talk through that, meet with the rural water folks, with the DEQ, and just talk about that system flushing, spring, fall. Should we throw another one in there, or should we have come up with a more comprehensive process? I mean, flushing is one element to help with it, but there's all these other things that we need to do too on top of that. So
We recommend twice a year,
yeah.
but, the situation here, like, you gotta really evaluate if you want to do another one this summer.
Sure.
When the Mount Zion Reservoir this year was broken into the outside door, correct?
Right.
The outside door, did we do an unscheduled flushing at that time?
I wouldn't call it flushing. It was an unscheduled disruption to our whole water system. The tank had to be taken offline, the water disposed of from the tank, refilled.
Did you clean it then? Was it clean at that time or no? No?
There's sediments in the bottom, that's why we
Was
have.
that clean, so you wait until now?
You can't just clean it, there's a bigger process to that. So we do have right individuals that do that as a specialty work that are coming in to clean the tank, but no.
I brought that up because that is one disruption in the water. I thought that because of that amount of water and going offline, that was like the flushing,
It changed the characteristics of the system because we had to change our whole operation and how the water system operated. It didn't operate off the tanks, it was then operated off our pumps, which creates a whole different water dynamic on, where the water pressures are, the water, maintaining pressures, a lot of different things that resulted from that problem.
sure. I mean, it definitely is something we need to know what changed this year. And so we had more construction last year, this year?
Construction one, we've had that for a number of years. I mean, one of the things that, again, we've talked about, what's changed. They did a more thorough flushing process this time.
An aggressive flushing.
More of an aggressive flushing. And again, the idea is to, last 3-4 years. So again, try and move more water to get, those built up sediments out on the pipe. So that could be part of it. But those sediments have built up over years, and that's not just, a year's worth of sediment. I mean, that's from years of, that all, coming out of the water.
Has a plan of corrections been put into place to help the families who have made complaints about continual water that they're not able to use?
I guess we want to meet with each homeowner that's having that and see what the problem is, so we can evaluate it. So I'm not sure.
However, you're paying $100 one, and there is some concern. And is there been some community outreach related to help those individuals who may not have the economic stability of others in the community?
But we do want to meet with them, and we have a meeting with one, so if you know somebody, please have
B&B
them,
doesn't give me water.
please have them, call our water department, and we will go out there.
Water is expensive. Expensive.
We're talking water quality.
Yeah.
Okay, but
That's not
Rick,
water
It's
quality.
another.
This isn't quality.
Rick,
There's nothing
right in
quality.
this document, it talks about neighborhoods that have low water use. Having high rates, high fees, and outrageously high deposits is discouraging people from moving to Ironwood, which means you have fewer people using your water system. And you've got Mildred sitting there saying, we've tried to keep the rate increases, manageable for people, but yet he votes to increase the water deposit.
So
You
listen,
can't
okay,
have
that's a
this
different-
both ways.
different topic about what
It's
we're
the
talking
same
about
topic, it's all
tonight.
related.
So,
It's all related.
water quality and clarity is different